named Government and Business. Market failure and government policy, regulation of imperfectly competitive markets, antitrust law and competition policy. Open access club and public goods, intellectual property. So this is rather a macroeconomic topic. So if we see this course had we start with microeconomics with consumer and producer behavior, then with some psychological related topics like game theory, asymmetric information, moral hazard. And now we end this course with some macroeconomic topics. Market failure and government policy, regulation of imperfectly competitive markets, antitrust law and competition policy, externalities, open access club and public goods, intellectual property. In a competitive market, one firm invents a new lower cost process. Should that firm patent its invention to keep its trade secret? If the innovating firm manufactures the good itself, under what condition can it charge the monopoly price? If the innovating firm obtains a patent, will the firm earn more if it produces itself or licenses its new process? We need to examine market failures that arise due to incomplete property rights in the government policy that directly regulate, assign, and enforce property rights. Government respond to market failures that arise from non-competitive market structures in a preventive or remedial approach with regulation, antitrust, and competition policy. Governments also respond to externalities, a market failure due to incomplete property rights, open access, club, public goods, patents, and copyrights. Perfectly competitive markets achieve economic efficiency and total surplus is maxima. However, some markets exhibit a significant market failure, which substantially reduce economic efficiency and result in deadweight losses. One important rationale for government policies is to reduce or eliminate market failure, but some may win and others lose. A Pareto principle, change that benefits some people without harming anyone else. A government policy that eliminates a market failure is a Pareto improvement if the reallocation of goods or productive inputs helps at least one person without harming anyone else. The outcome is Pareto efficient once all possible Pareto improvements have occurred. So any additional change would harm at least one person. The cost-benefit principle, a change is desirable if its benefits exceed the cost. The cost-benefit principle supports policies that increase total surplus, even if some will be harmed. Any policy that generates a Pareto improvement satisfies the cost-benefit principle. If some people gain from a policy and then aggregate benefit is positive. However, the converse is not true, and no one suffers loss. In practice, policies have large net benefits and small distributional effects, tend to generate broad support. Approach 1. A government can eliminate imperfectly competitive pricing by a monopolist with a direct approach on the monopoly and set relative low price. For example, electric power and water utilities. So those are generally monopolies because it's hard for it's impossible for small companies to enter the business because there are large costs, large investment required, and also the infrastructure and special laws and so on. The second approach, a government can change the market structure using antitrust or competition laws. The US government increased the number of aluminum manufacturers during World War II, ending Alcoa's monopoly. And the third approach, a government can regulate the industry to prevent firms from setting excessively high prices. Price ceiling or price cap is the most commonly used approach. Optimal price regulation. A government can eliminate the monopoly deadweight laws by imposing a price cap equal to the price that would prevail in a competitive market. Price cap regulation is used for telecommunication monopoly in 33 US states and many countries, Australia, Canada, Denmark, France, Germany, Mexico, Sweden, and the UK. And we have here some examples. Well-intentioned government regulators often fail to regulate monopolies optimally because of limited information about the monopoly's demand and cost curves. If regulators rely on the monopoly or on industry experts for information, they may mislead, and the price cap may be above or below the efficient level. Firms engage, so regulatory capture, firms engage in rent seeking, devote effort and expenditure to gain a rent of profit from government actions to capture some regulators. Some regulators may be captured so that they regulate in the manner that the industry wants, its interests ahead of the public's. A capture regulated object might be to keep prices high so they may impose entry restrictions to keep potential competitors out. Antitrust laws in the late 19th century, cartels or trusts were legal and common. Oil, railroad, sugar, and tobacco trusts raised price substantially above competitive levels. The US Congress passed the Sherman Antitrust Act in 1890 and the Federal Trade Commission Act of 1914, which prohibited firms from explicitly agreeing to take actions that reduce competition. So price fixing is per se violation. It is strictly against the law and firms have no possible mitigating justifications. Why do cartels persist? So international cartels and cartels within certain countries operate illegally. Some illegal cartels operate believing they can avoid detection or that the punishment will be insignificant. Some firms are able to coordinate their activities without explicitly colluding and thereby running afoul of competition laws. Mergers to prevent firms from forming a monopoly, most antitrust and competition will restrict the ability of firms to merge if the net effect is to harm society. Antitrust policy also address vertical interactions between a firm and its customers or suppliers. Vertical actions that competition authorities invest include resale price maintenance, refusal to deal, exclusive dealing, and price discrimination. A manufacturer engages in resale price maintenance if it requires that retailers that sell its product to charge a price no lower than the price is specified. A refusal to deal. Integrated firms operate in downstream upstream markets. If the integrated firm dominates both markets, the refuses to sell the input to downstream rival, it may be charged with the refusal to deal. Externalities. An externality occurs when a person's well-being is directly affected by the actions of other customers than the indirectly through changes in prices. An externality occurs when a firm's production capability is directly by the actions of other firms rather than indirectly through changes in prices. The externality effect occurs outside market and could be negative or positive. A negative externality, a chemical plant that dumps its waste into a lake, reducing the profits of a firm that rents boats and the utility of visitors to the lake. Because the chemical plant does not pay for the harm caused to the other firm and visitor, it dumps too much. Positive externality, and we have this example: a homeowner that plants nice trees in his property increase the value of the neighbors' homes too, because this homeowner is not compensated for the benefit she gives to the community. Too little of such externalities produced. And we have emissions that the government can maximize total by enacting. So we have here some examples. Assigning property rights. Instead of controlling externalities directly, the government can do it indirectly, assign property rights. If no one has property rights, more likely the good or bad has no price. Property rights can be used in court or sold both in a market. Environmental, corporate, social responsibility. Most large corporations have active corporate social responsibility. 95% of the 250 world largest corporations report. Coase theorem. Coase theorem in 1960, a polluter and its victim can achieve the optimal levels of pollution if property rights are clearly defined and they can bargain effectively. Coase theorem demonstrates that under clear property rights, that unclear property is the root of externality, but however, it may not be practical for most cases. Okay. So 3 lessons from the Coase theorem. If property rights are not clear, one firm pollutes excessively and joint profit is not maximized. Assigning property right maximize joint profit regardless of who gets the rights, who gets the property rights affects the distribution of the joint profit. Coase theorem limits transaction costs and information costs. If transaction costs are so high that it doesn't pay for the 2 slides, to me, bargaining is not possible. If either party lacks information about costs or benefits of the reducing pollution, bargaining is not possible either. Club good. The club good is a good that is a non-rival but is subject to exclusion. So golf or swim club, these clubs exclude persons who do not pay a membership fee, but the service they provide swimming are non-rival until full capacity is reached. Public good. A public good is non-rival and non-exclusive. For instance, clean air. If a firm reduces pollution, cleaning the air. It provides a non-priced benefit to its neighbors, so it is a positive externality. Free rider, because clean air is known as people who benefit from cleaning efforts without paying, so it is difficult for firms to profitably provide clean air because few people want to pay, no matter how valuable it is to them. Public goods tend to be under supply by market, so this is a market failure and creates a dead weight loss. Other examples: security services, national defense. Reducing free riding. So one solution is for the government to provide these goods. Other solutions require government or collective action, such as a social pressure, mergers, privatization, and compulsion. Intellectual property. So inventions, music, art, literature, even textbooks have make our lives better. Without property rights to knowledge, potential innovators may have weaker incentives to innovate due to public good nature of knowledge. If a chip manufacturer develops a new microchip, the particular chip is rival and exclusive. However, without intellectual property rights, the knowledge of how to make the chip is a public good. Patents. A patent is a piece of intellectual property that can be treated like any other type of property. It grants the inventors from the exclusive rights over the invention for 20 years in the United States and in most other countries. The owner of a patent may choose to be the sole producer of the good, license others to produce the good for a free or to sell the patent. The patent system greatly reduced the free rider problem. To avoid monopoly power, governments can fund the research, making the knowledge from the discoveries managerial problem. Should that firm patent its invention or keep it a secret trade? If the innovative firm manufactures the good itself, under what condition can it charge the monopoly price? A firm may opt for patenting it. The extra protection secures income generation, including license fees. However, the firm may opt for trades if it's costly to apply for a patent, if the firms may be able to maintain a secret indefinitely. For example, Coca-Cola formula, and if the firm doesn't want others to use the patent to create another invention that is sufficiently different. And this is it with chapter 16.